Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep, energetic dive into a totally fascinating mechanic of the human mind, and that is overthinking. If you're someone who naturally loves to learn, analyze, and break things down, you have likely found yourself caught in a mental web at one time or another. Well, we're going to unpack exactly why our brains do this, what triggers it, and most importantly, how we can regain control of our cognitive processing. Let's map out the inner workings of your own mind. So have you ever replayed the exact same conversation over and over in your head? We've all been there, right? It's Tuesday night, you're just trying to fall asleep, and suddenly your brain decides to broadcast a high-definition replay of an email you sent on Friday. The person replied with just, "Sounds good," and now you're agonizing. Did it actually sound good? Were they mad? Was there some hidden passive-aggressive period at the end of that sentence? If you're nodding along right now, I promise you aren't alone and your brain isn't broken. There's real science behind why this happens. Section 1. The Endless Mental Loop. Okay, let's dive into this. There's this huge myth out there that overthinking is just a byproduct of having a sky-high IQ. Actually, scratch that. While it's true that folks who genuinely enjoy analyzing situations are for sure more prone to it, raw intelligence itself is not the root cause here. Overthinking can happen to absolutely anyone. What's actually happening is basically a glitch in our evolutionary hardware. Your brain's incredible pattern recognition software is just misfiring. It's desperately searching for physical threats hidden inside subtle social interactions, rather than looking for actual dangers out in the wild.
See, when you're caught in a mental loop, your brain genuinely believes it's doing you a solid. It operates under this total illusion that by endlessly replaying a past situation, it's going to eventually uncover a hidden solution, resolve some awkward ambiguity, or protect you from a future threat. It's like a computer stuck endlessly buffering because it's trying to load a file that literally doesn't exist. Our analytical minds are highly efficient problem-solving machines, but when they're faced with subjective social nuances or emotional gray areas where there is no real correct answer, that machinery just keeps hitting refresh in an exhausting attempt to find a definitive resolution. It's a noble effort by your brain, just aimed at the wrong target.
Section 2. Thinking versus overthinking. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where that problem-solving engine jumps the tracks. Healthy thinking is inherently productive and actionable. You assess a situation, you figure out a logical path forward, and then you take a step. Boom, it's dynamic. It moves you toward a resolution. Overthinking, on the other hand, it's entirely repetitive and totally paralyzing. Instead of generating new solutions, you're just spinning your tires in the mud. While healthy thinking actively pulls you forward in time toward an action, overthinking just traps you in the past, completely paralyzed by unyielding repetition without any tangible outcome whatsoever. Section 3. Stress, anxiety, and perfectionism. Listen, if overthinking is a fire in the mind, stress and anxiety are literally the gasoline. When you're stressed out, you experience what neuroscientists call an amygdala hijack. Your nervous system triggers this state of heightened alertness, completely forcing your brain to bypass logical reasoning and drop into pure survival mode. It starts frantically scanning your environment for threats. And because it's scanning so aggressively, it rapidly escalates minor issues into major, catastrophic worries. That delayed text message suddenly transforms into definitive proof that your relationship is ending. Your heart rate spikes, your thoughts are racing, and your brain is utterly trapped in this high-speed cycle of worst-case scenarios, amplifying the overthinking exponentially. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectionism introduces another intense layer to that dynamic. When you relentlessly pursue a totally impossible standard, you are practically guaranteeing failure. And that leaves your brain acting as this harsh, permanent critic. Because actual perfection is unattainable, literally every conversation, project, or passing interaction is going to contain some perceived flaw. Your mind just endlessly mines past interactions for these tiny imperfections, trapping you in a cycle of punishing self-critique where you're perpetually agonizing over what you could have done just a fraction of a percent better. It's an unwinnable game that keeps that mental loop spinning. Section 4. How to reduce overthinking. Now let's take a breath, because knowing the mechanics of this loop actually gives us the power to break it. The very first step is simply noticing it. You cannot fix what you don't acknowledge. The moment you realize you're ruminating, just gently label it. Tell yourself, hey, I am overthinking right now. The second step is to challenge those repetitive thoughts. Ask yourself if this line of thinking is actually helping you solve a real-world problem, or if it's just generating anxiety. Force your analytical mind to evaluate the utility of the thought itself. Finally, shift your focus to a concrete, physical action. Go wash the dishes, take a walk outside, stretch.
This works beautifully because engaging in present-moment sensory tasks actively disrupts your brain's default mode network. That's the specific neural pathway responsible for all that passive, inward-focused rumination. You literally force your brain to switch tracks.
At the end of the day, overthinking is simply a habit. It is not a permanent personality trait, and it certainly isn't a life sentence just because you have an analytical mind. It's just a well-worn neural pathway. And because it's a habit, the reality of neuroplasticity tells us that with some awareness and consistent practice, you can actively manage and rewire it. You have the profound ability to train your brilliant analytical mind to work for you rather than against you and reclaim all that lost cognitive energy.
So I'll leave you with this. What is the very first step you'll take the next time you catch yourself in a mental loop? Will you label the thought? Will you challenge its utility? Or will you get up and disrupt the network by taking a quick walk? You now have the knowledge and the structural tools to break the cycle. The power to manage your mental loop is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep analyzing the world around you, and I will see you next time.